by the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham. A very good morning to you, Andy Burnham. Thanks so much for talking to us. So what
Good
is
morning,
your reaction
welcome.
to these allegations against Greater Manchester Police?
Well, they're extremely distressing cases, aren't they, to look at the images. And people watching this programme will rightly want to know that they will be fully, properly and independently investigated. And I can give people that assurance today. And that's important for two reasons. Obviously, for the individuals concerned, they will want to be assured that every single point that they've raised will be properly investigated. But secondly, it's important with regard to women's confidence in policing and of course, policing in Greater Manchester. So for those reasons, it is essential that what I've said today is what happens.
Have you spoken to Greater Manchester Police about this? And if so, what have they said to you?
No, indeed, I have. I think it might just help, actually, if I explain my involvement in these cases. One of the three, because there are three cases involved, was brought to my attention a few weeks ago. So I have followed that through and recently met with the individual concerned together with the Deputy Mayor, and there's work coming out of the back of that meeting. The other two only brought to my attention more recently, but I have obviously spoken to the leadership of Greater Manchester Police and had an assurance that there will be the investigation that I've described. So the main case that Sky have covered is again with the IOPC, and I will be overseeing things to ensure that everything is fully investigated. But if I could say, there's a broader point, isn't there, here about women's safety. I think Sky posed that question: are women safe in custody? And that question needs an answer with regard to Greater Manchester Police. So in response to that, myself and the Deputy Mayor are in discussions with Dame Vera Baird KC. People will know she is a senior criminal barrister, a very senior criminal barrister, former victims commissioner. And we will be asking her to look at the care of the individuals in these cases and to consider what wider issues that might raise for custody in Greater Manchester. So we will be seeking that independent assurance from Dame Vera Baird as well in response to what's been raised, because obviously there are three cases here that present very real concerns.
I also want to ask you about the Andrew Malkinson case. His rape conviction was overturned after a 20-year fight yesterday. How concerned are you about Greater Manchester Police's role in that case? Well,
again, there are very, very serious issues, aren't there? This is a terrible miscarriage of justice. Of course, it relates to a period 20 years ago, so that means that it is under a previous regime, but it's not to minimise in any way the scale of these issues. And you cannot help but feel deeply for Andrew Malkinson, his family and his friends, to the scale of this injustice, but also the victim concerned. We must keep her in our thoughts as well. But there are massive issues arising here, both for Greater Manchester Police and, I believe as well, though, the criminal justice system. So I will certainly be going through in detail the issues arising for Greater Manchester Police from the court judgment as of yesterday, and I will be doing that very carefully. But there are separate issues, I think, which is for people in the criminal justice system who are protesting their innocence. That can, if you like, make it harder for them to secure their release, and it can lengthen their sentences. That's one issue that I think needs to be looked at, and certainly was something that was unfair to Andrew Malkinson. The second issue is the time taken by the Criminal Cases Review Commission to look at things. Now, I know they do a good job and have done a good job for many people, but I always have concerns about their resourcing and whether they can move quickly enough, given the importance of these matters. So I think there are two issues there, and those are issues that I will want to discuss with the government arising from Andrew's case, which, as I say, is a really terrible miscarriage of justice.
So, questions for Greater Manchester Police on different fronts. Do you have faith in the force?
Yes, I do, and I don't just say that without considering these things very carefully. It's my job to hold Greater Manchester Police to account, and I take that responsibility extremely seriously, to the extent that I removed the previous leadership of Greater Manchester Police when there were serious issues within the force, as revealed by His Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary. Obviously, we have a changed leadership, and Greater Manchester Police is a different organisation under the Chief Constable that we have now and his Deputy Chief Constable. Notwithstanding that, I will never then just say, well, there's nothing for me to do. Of course, the 3 cases that Sky have raised do require me to intervene and find assurance that things are being done properly. And if they're not, that changes are made. And that is exactly what I'm doing in this case. With respect to Andrew Malkinson, obviously, as I just said before, that does relate to a period 20 years ago when DNA technology was not where it is today. I know that because I was in the Home Office in 2005 when we were building the national DNA database. It's something that I was very personally involved in, and this obviously relates to a period before that time when there was that significant expansion of the DNA database. So that does need to be taken into account here. But I'm not in any way saying that there will not be internal issues for GMP. There certainly will. But knowing the Chief Constable and the Deputy Chief Constable, they will not flinch from any of those issues.
And can I just pick you up on something you said a bit earlier about commissioning Vera Baird to look again at some of the issues posed by the allegations we've been broadcasting? Tell us a little bit more about that. When was that commissioned, and how long will we have to wait for its outcome?
Well, obviously, I mentioned before that I met one of the 3 individuals concerned quite recently. So, you know, I have heard a very full account of what happened from her, and I'm the kind of person that when I hear that kind of account, I do nothing about it. I take action, and I was already thinking about that when the wider package was put forward by Sky yesterday. So I believe in the way in which individuals were treated, because there are clearly distressing images, aren't there, within what's been broadcast. And Dame Vera is somebody I know of old. I can't think of somebody who approaches these matters with greater rigour, but also with greater care. And I'm pleased that she's accepted our invitation to enter discussions about how she can provide an assurance here for us, or raise issues that need to be addressed. So to have someone of Dame Vera's stature be prepared to help us with this, then I'm really pleased about that. But I wanted just to come on today because I want always to take time to get things right. But I have thought about all of the issues concerned. I believe this is the right response at this level to give that reassurance to the wider public, and particularly women in Greater Manchester. And that's what we will do. And I'm grateful to Dame Vera.
OK, Andy Burnham, we appreciate your time. Thanks very much indeed.